collection. This is Authenticity, and like you said, there's a couple copies available here at Spine, and if for some reason they happen to run out tonight, I also have copies on me as well. So I'm going to start out with this, and then I'm going to do one newer piece, and then I'm going to end the night with poetry, a collection of poems from this book, and then also I have 4 upcoming collections, so I'm going to do some pieces from each of those. So this first piece is called Functional. My depression isn't the debilitating kind. I don't lie in bed all day or cry myself to sleep. I don't even dread getting out of bed because I don't dread anything. I don't cut off contact with the world or hide away in my reclusive cave. My depression is functional. I am consistently a functional human being every single day. And a lot of days I'm actually even quite productive. My depression is so functional that sometimes I convince myself it isn't even real. It doesn't actually exist. Not really. Depression is the only thing that makes me out to be a liar. I lie. I lie to myself and I lie to everyone around me. I lie because it's functional and it's something that's easy to mask. But if I were to be honest with you and with myself, I would tell us this. Whatever part inside of me that is the vibrance of who I am, the part that feels passion, happiness, hell, even the part that feels pain, the part of me that craves adventure, thirsts for depth, and has an unyielding lust for life, whatever part that is, it sometimes becomes the vehicle that's driving through a thick cloud of fog. And no matter how hard you squint your eyes and adjust your lights, nothing is ever clear. So you drive in what feels like slow motion until you finally break through the wall of fog that has temporarily blocked your view. My depression is the inside of my mind having Kelly green walls that have been muted to sage. I hate sage and beige and anything resembling a muted color. Those colors don't belong on my walls. You know what the colors of my walls are? Like not my figurative walls, my actual real life walls. They have fun names like Cantaloupe and Cotton Candy Pink. And I don't remember the cool name my aqua walls have, but they're aqua all the same. And then of course I have my Kelly green. The colors of my actual walls doesn't really matter though, when the figurative walls of my mind are muted sage. My depression is controlled claustrophobia. You know it's there. You recognize its presence. You feel the itch of panic tingle on your skin, but you will yourself to breathe and tell yourself you will be okay. You don't allow yourself to scratch the itch because it will only make it spring. My depression isn't an always. It's more of a sometime. But sometimes can last quite a long time. And when it does, I don't really feel like I'm living. Not real living. Not the living I want to be living. Because the part of me that matters most becomes a foggy, muted version of controlled claustrophobia. But my depression is functional. You don't see it. So therefore, it isn't real. Thank you. And this next one is called Nothing More Than a Prick. In my room, there is a shelf. And on that shelf sits a long row of distorted storybooks, written for my eyes and my eyes alone. Every line of every page filled with the, Of course, on my featured poet night I mess up. I'm going to start over, you guys don't mind. In my room, there is a shelf. And on that shelf sits a long row of distorted storybooks, written for my eyes and my eyes alone. Every line of every page dripping with the scrawled ink of a hand in motion. They're filled with the hopes and dreams that poured from my mind, pain and fear that bled from my fingertips, stinging sheets of who I was and who I have become. I still remember the first thing I ever wrote. It was about my first broken heart, or at least what my 14-year-old mind perceived as heartbreak. I read all my stories a while back, and there were a lot of words masquerading as heartbreak in the pages of my early days. A lot of those pages caused me to cringe, like I cringe when hearing someone write with chalk, or the sound of foam mist that scrapes against the sides of a cardboard box, or even the thought of a nail file coming in contact with a nail. I cringed. It wasn't the writing itself that caused me to cringe, but more so the words I chose to write. I was so damn dramatic. I knew nothing of love, and I certainly knew nothing of pain. I still remember the streams of tears that flowed and the sick feeling that kicked up his feet and made a home in the pit of my stomach while I wrote those words. I remember hating that feeling. I remember wishing I could feel anything other than the heavy stones that weighed down my heart and gut. Who knew the flowing streams of tears in reality were only puddles? Who knew the stones that weighed me down were only tiny pebbles? Who knew I would one day envy feeling so strongly over something so trivial? I no longer feel as a normal person should feel. I no longer experience pain in the same way. My senses have been dulled down like the knife in my careless hands. It slides across my finger but doesn't break the skin because it lost its sharpness long ago. And just like the knife that doesn't cut, I'm surprised at the lack of feeling when someone tears open my soul. I'm surprised at the lack of blood on the cutting board. I've turned their weapons into useless utensils. They're incapable of causing me pain. The stones I swallow feel less than a pebble. And the rivers, they no longer flow. I can't even muster a mere puddle. My eyes have become tiny deserts that thirst for a drop of water to hydrate their barren ground. But the sun continues to blaze and the rain stays far away. I've cried vast oceans. I've been crushed and buried by mountains. I've been sliced and cut till I was a bloody mess. I've tasted hell. I've seen the devil face to face. He shattered my windows and entered my home. He's poured his flame straight down my throat and I choked on the black smoke as the fire melted me from the inside out. No, I no longer feel pain as I should. It is now only a pinprick to my skin. This one is called Comfortably Alone. There are so many people searching for love, wanting love. They're looking for love with profiles at Match.com, eHarmony, Plenty of Fish, and let's not forget Tinder. Oh wait, I forget. That's just the one they use to fuck. You know, I get it, I guess. Everyone just wants to be loved. When I was young, I wasn't quite like the other girls my age. I was comfortable with my loneliness, comfortable with my solitude. I didn't crave the attention from boys as so many teenage girls do. I never had the thought, oh my God, I want a boyfriend, I need a boyfriend. It wasn't that I was against the concept or repulsed by it. I liked boys just as much as anyone else and even dated a few. I was just more of a, if it happens, then it happens. But if not, I'm perfectly happy being me all by myself type girl. Isn't it funny how the girl who isn't looking for it is the girl who gets it first? I got mine quite young at only 18. He came to me through the bickering and bantering over the college newsroom that drove the editor nuts, and the seat next to mine in creative writing class and asking for a pen, and the writing of a poem about the girl in the blue vintage coat that he would never let me read, even though I was the girl in that blue vintage coat. It was in the lessons on the proper way to eat hot wings, the breaking into a park at midnight and swinging so high it felt like we may actually touch the sky. It was in the sound of our feet hitting the pavement as we ran chasing ducks until their wings spread to take flight. I was watching Lost Boys in his college dorms. I thought to myself, why the hell would he pick this movie? Would you believe he first kissed me during that terrible movie? I wasn't searching for that love, but it hit me like a crashing wave. That love gave me happiness. That love gave me a home. That love gave me 2 daughters, but now that love is gone. His lungs no longer breathe in the oxygen of this world because they're buried in the ground. 3.5 years. That's how long it's been. And where before I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't go 10 minutes without a tear streaming down my face, and most days were spent huddled in a corner as my screams and wails filled the empty space where all I wanted to do was go to sleep and forget about the reality that had become my life. But sleep had become a scary thing to me. I filled my bed with pillows just to take up all the extra empty space, and when I would finally fall asleep, it would be filled with horrors worse than my reality. When I was awake, I would wake up shaking with ragged breasts and a face wet with tears I didn't know I had been crying. I was simply a mess. But 3.5 years, that's how long it's been. And somewhere between then and now, my breathing became stronger. The tears stopped slipping from my eyes. The empty space was filled with silence or laughter instead. Reality was no longer something I needed escaping from, and sleep had become the mundane necessity that fueled my long days. But with that came the expectations. You see, based on the most common ideologies, the most natural thing for me to do would be to go searching for love, to try to find someone to fill the void that they perceive to be in my life. Because if you lose a love, eventually you go and find yourself another. That's just the thing you do. No one seems to understand why I choose to be alone, why I choose to not fill what they believe to be a void. A relationship has never been a necessity in my life because no man completes me. I complete myself. I am comfortable in my loneliness, comfortable in my solitude. I am not looking for love. I am not searching for love. If it happens, then it happens. But if not, I'm perfectly happy being me, all by myself. Thank you so much. I have two more, and just that poem that I just read, I know it mentions 3.5 years. At this point, it's actually been 8.5 years, so just 3.5 when I wrote that. So when I do some poems later on, those will make more sense. All right, this one is from an upcoming collection, and it is called Treacherous Night. Sleepless hours as I lie awake, hearing your words on this treacherous night. As you speak tyrannically to me, my insides fill with a horrid pain, and my eyes well up with tears. Your words are stripped of all feelings of remorse, as if you were bound from all expressions of this, when really this is merely a choice on behalf of yourself. The deceitful actions that which you now contain has overwhelmed me with confusion on the person I once thought you to be. High hopes were shattered within minutes. My eyes are still open when dawn breaks. Weighing down on me, as if I am trapped and unable to escape, is the fact that I have lost you for a reason unknown to me. I fight to hide my pain and tears from the public eye. These eyes of mine feel as though they are now on fire as the burning increases from the pressure of my painful tears. Once in a while, they will slip from my eyes and slowly drip down my face. The hours and minutes pass in what seems like a slow motion phase. The sun now sets, and darkness engulfs the wild, raging night. Lying in an uncomfortable way, I am acquainted only by the silence of loneliness. Now I am able to release all the fierce tears from my swollen, worn-out eyes.
Yes.
And this is, thank you so much. And this will be the last one for my opening. This one is called I've Been Here Before. Sitting across from you while you're dressed in matching green, listening to the sound of your voice stringing together a long line of words that doesn't make an ounce of sense. Time, date, day, time, date, day. What's your name again? I try to find you, but you don't seem to be home. I've been here before, only it wasn't you, it was him. I've already heard the nonsensical ramblings of a mind that didn't belong. I've seen the vacancy sign flicker in a pair of eyes I no longer recognize. I've been here before, and it strikes a chord inside, one that's connected to the notes of fear and dread. They're deafening as it courses through the blood in my veins. Because you see, I've been here before, and it wasn't exactly here, but it was there. And it wasn't exactly your eyes, your words, your voice rambling incomprehensible nonsense. It was his. It's all just a little too familiar, though. When I see vacant eyes and hear the voice of nonsense, it makes me remember all too well. You weren't there, but he was, and his hand was wrapped around the stock of a pistol with his index finger resting on the trigger, all connected to the barrel that pressed against my head, and in his other hand he held the knife that glistened in my line of sight. Now I know that wasn't you, and I'm not saying that's what I think you'll do, but eyes, looks, words, tone of voice, and the brambles of a mind that is temporarily not your own triggers something inside. I see it flash before my eyes, only this time, he's not the one on my line of sight, it's you. And you may not be using the same mechanics either, but your intent and action is the same. You want to hurt me, and you coming at me is what flashes before my eyes. Now I'm not so far gone from reality that I think that this is actually happening. I'm aware it's just an illusion caused by something along the lines of PTSD. I'm even able to realize that my thoughts may be irrational. But my body, well, she's a fool. And she thinks the illusion is reality as she trembles with the fear of staring death in the eye. And you see, I know what comes next. Because remember, I've been here before. And what comes next scares me too, because you're someone that I love. I'm still here, which means he obviously didn't pull that trigger. His eyes flipped the switch from vacancy to occupied, and they saw his wife with the barrel of a pistol pressed to her head, and he saw the hand that was holding the pistol was connected to the arm that was connected to the man that was himself. That's when he walked in the other room and shot himself. I've been here before, and I can't go back there again. My upcoming collections have a lot of shorter pieces in it. This is just my longer poem collection. This one is called She Comes at Night. I have come to the realization that I have an enemy I've come to love, an enemy I miss when she leaves me, an enemy that hides her toxicity under the guise of lust. Her name, Insomnia. You know how that saying goes, keep your friends close but your enemies closer? Well, that's how I finally figured it out. You see, insomnia always keeps me close. So close at times it's hard to cope. You know how when you lay your head down on a pillow at night and within minutes you've drifted off to sleep? I lay my head down on a pillow at night and that's when I come awake. I toss, I turn, I'm hot, I'm cold, my foot bounces up, down, up, down, up, down, my legs shift back and forth, and I vaguely remember those commercials. You know, the ones about RLS. And I'm angry. I'm angry I can't find sleep as I stumble through the endless depths of restlessness. But then something changes. Insomnia is beguiling. She knows her way in because she knows what I want. She knows what turns me on. She softly caresses my mind, molding it into something she knows I desire. It becomes a train racing down the tracks into the darkness of the tunnels where my dreams live. The conscious, soul-aching dreams I crave. The ones that come alive in the wake of her existence. She injects their vitality in my veins and watches in fascination as they consume my soul. Isn't it strange that it's the dreamers that rarely sleep? Insomnia plays the friend part well, for when she's in my bed at night, she inspires me and wrenches my most authentic self free. She feeds me a lack of sleep that triggers my creative switch. Clever thoughts I form into lines of poetry. My best work happens when she's lying down beside me. She gives me jolts of energy and fills me with something that seems a whole lot like motivation. She awakens my mind and gives me insights to new perspectives. She's the drug I've come to crave, for I feel the most alive when she's living inside. The problem is, insomnia always overstays her welcome. And just like a drug, eventually she leaves me feeling strung out. Someone once told me a human being could only survive 3 days without sleep. I called them a liar and told them I'd lasted more than a week and never slept a wink. But in that time, I'm riding a high. Aware that at some point, that high will capsize. The energy starts to taper off, becoming something more like madness. Thoughts are no longer clever and they make less and less sense as the days drag on. My mind is foggy and overworked. I'm drowning as I gasp for sleep. I'm sinking, waiting for unconsciousness to save me. Eventually, unconsciousness will show his face and I'll drift off to sleep. But when I awake, I'll find myself wishing insomnia would come back to see me. This next one is called Harsh Light, and this is a newer one that I wrote this year. The harsh sun outside the bedroom window beats me with its heat. Pulling the curtain aside, I shield myself from its light. Where are the rain clouds when I need them? The dreary skies to match my eyes. The raindrop lullabies to flow with my tears. The sound of thunder to cover the heavy beat of my heart. There's something brewing, and oh, how I hate to be the only one storming. This one is called Severed Souls. Build thee a bridge across the gap of severed souls, that I may walk along the stones and meet thy love once more, to stare into his clear blue eyes and see his shining smile, to wrap thy arms around his neck and press thy lips to his, to feel the warmth of his skin radiating beneath thy palms, to hear his voice say thy name and know that he loves thee so. Build thee a bridge across the gap of severed souls. This one is called Raging Feelings. There are days when I wish I could dull myself. Not a lot, but just enough. Sand down the sharp edges of my tongue. That my tongue didn't have a direct connection to my feelings. That I could be the type of person to feel something and keep my voice silent until it passes. Feelings are my downfall, though. They're boisterous and impetuous. They're raging waves within my chest. They're undaunted by confrontation. You'll never have to wonder how I feel. They'll boil up in my throat, fill my mouth, and I'll spit them out all over you. And sometimes that can make life a little more difficult. This poem is called Change in Perspective. I sat and watched my life waste away down a dirty drain. When I reached down and dug the life back out, the perspective had completely changed. It no longer showed the same definitude of what is right and what is wrong. I cannot lie, I tend to like its new and warped demeanor. It's free from the common constriction that used to hold me tight. The things my mind once construed as fact have faded from my sight. For life is utterly fragile, even when we do the things we once considered right. I like planned this out as far as how I felt the poems flowed well, and I wasn't thinking like putting the book back down, but oh well, that's all right. Okay, this one is called Digitized Words. I thought this one was fitting since we are doing this in a bookstore, because I am all about actual books. So, I can't bring myself to read electronic books, because although they have all the same words, they're somehow lacking a certain emotion. I tried it once. I felt I was being impersonal, and my mother taught me to always be personable. I felt like I was being rude to the book and cheating it out of my undivided devotion. We had a disconnect. It felt like a serious conversation through text that your voice should have said to my face. I couldn't feel the breath or watch the expression in the words. They didn't seem as genuine. The tip of my pen ached for the touch of the page. You see, my pen is typically friends with the books I read, but they forgot to invite him to this particular party, and that's not fair. I don't like when my pen is left out because my pen is directly linked to me, and I don't like being left out. I never get to attend the party of electronic books because they never send the invite. Thank you. This one is called Daisies. Your love for me are the daisies in a field of wildflowers, the whiplash of petals being ripped from the stem. You love me not. You love me not. Which petal will you be today? I pick so many daisies clean, trying to guess what it is you're feeling. I sit in the field of wildflowers, surrounded by dying petals of your uncertainty. You love me not. You love me not. Let's just end on you love me not and quit killing all these daisies trying to figure you out. This one is called Complexity. There's complexity in her silence, not something that I see, more something that I feel. The prickle of her mind holds the intellect of chaos. Her thoughts brush across my skin, hiding in the endless depths of her eyes. Their fists are clenched, beating against the locked iron doors of silent lips until they're bloody, ragged, and sore. Ambivalent she may seem, but she burns with raging fire. Just a few more. This next one is called Crave. Maybe one day I'll sleep as the rest of the world sleeps. I'll lay my head down on a pillow and drift off into peace. My mind will race with thoughts and my body will toss and turn, trying to fit itself to a bed it doesn't feel it belongs. Maybe one day I'll sleep. And then, just maybe, my mind will work and think as the rest of the world does. Then again, maybe sleep isn't what I crave after all. And this next one is called Love the Split, which is also an authenticity. I love art and music and poetry. I love all things with soul. I love to experience a soul splitting open and bleeding out before my eyes. How the blood of that soul mixes in with the brushstrokes of paint on a canvas. How I can hear the droplets in the music, feel the pulsating in the lyrics, and taste the gushing in the lines of poetry. Things without soul are of no interest to me, because a bleeding soul will always be more appealing than some overthought fabrication of a feeling. Thank you, and I just have two more. This one is called Daydreamer. I hear of those who only dream when eyes are shut and a mind's asleep. Oh, what a boring thing to do, to only live in dreams your sleeping self conceives. I'd rather be a daydreamer who dreams while I'm awake, where silence is never silent because dreams are taking shape. I find my hidden desires to dream about all day, Oh, what a lovely thing to do, to dream while I'm awake. And the last one I'm going to do is called Restless, and this is also from my Authenticity collection. I love life, and I am happy. In almost every way, I am content. And yet, I am restless. There is a fire burning inside that will not be tamed, a thirst that will not be quenched, screaming thoughts that will not quiet themselves. I am restless. Restless for life. Not the life I see everyone living, but the life in my imagination. I'm ready for imagination to become what is real and real to become a memory. I have this overwhelming urge to see things I've never seen, go places I've never gone, and do things I've never done. I want to see the beautiful, but also see the ugly. I want to go where life is easy, but also where life is hard and broken. I want to climb a mountain. I want to sail a boat. I want to dive in the depths of the ocean and jump from a plane as I float through the sky. I want to be a pirate. Can I please, at least for one day? I can't list everything I want to do because I want to do it all. I want adventure. I want experience. I want to be utterly exposed. I want passion, not mere satisfaction. I want to taste life in all of its flavors and choke on the endlessness of everything it has to offer. I am more than what you see. Hell, I am more than what I am. I was created for more than average, so average I will not accept. I'm done with the ordinary. Throw me into the extraordinary. Yeah.